This is the LG V10, remarkably similar to the LG G4 internally, with a few features that set it apart from the G4, and well, really, most of the phones on the market today. I'm not going to cover all of the features of the camera. There are enough similarities that if you'd like to see the capabilities and some example photos, you can watch my LG G4 review and the LG G4 photography tips video. You should watch those because the capabilities of this camera, sensor, and manual control all combine to give you some sweet power and results. Back to the LG V10. Let's start with the most visible difference right now, two front-facing cameras. We have a fairly normal view selfie cam and a wider viewed, unfortunately named goofy cam. I often use the LG V10 to record video for my channel, and having this wider view that allows it to incorporate the environment into the shots along with me is nice. The V10 also offers two screens, the normal one and a little secondary screen. This second screen can show you the date and time along with recent notifications when the main screen is off. And when the main screen is on, you can configure it to show a bunch of different content. And when you launch the camera app, the phone uses that secondary screen to provide easy access to the different camera modes. This is useful in keeping the recording area fairly clear. I also like the way notifications roll in there, giving you a heads up without distracting you from what you're doing on the main screen. Let's talk about the camera, because honestly, that's the strength of this phone. The LG G4 was exciting in that it provided good manual control of your camera settings. It also frustrated me though because those same settings stopped working when you switched to video and everything was auto. The V10 fixes that and more. You have complete manual control when shooting video with a back-facing camera, and you have adjustable audio levels and audio directional control using the various mics on the camera. Here's what it sounds like when the audio levels are pointed directly at me. Now we can pull them down so that it's directed at the person behind the camera. Overall, the video out of this camera is beautiful. 90% of what I shot during a video about fall photography tips in southern Vermont was shot in 4K with this phone, and it looks great. It is still a solid photo camera too. Check my Instagram for several shots I'm really proud of that came out of this camera over the last week. There's a great sensor in here, and as I've discovered during my recent Nexus 6P review, if you need an app to enable manual control, you're likely to run into some bugs. Having full manual control built into the LG V10 really does give you the smoothest experience. And you're not forced to use it. Auto mode works well too. You have a few additional perks like frame rate options, including 1 and 2 frames per second for time-lapse like videos, and a bitrate selection for space saving. I just keep mine set on high though. The lower bit rates look pretty crappy. These features, along with removable battery and micro SD card slot, make this a serious photo and video tool. It's not all great though. The manual video control is limited to that back-facing camera, and the two front-facing cameras are auto only. The optical image stabilization can be a little overzealous at times. You're going to see a jelly wobble at the edges of your frame. You have the option of turning digital stabilization on as well, but this knocks you down to 1080p resolution, and my results have been mixed shooting with that on. The additional audio controls are great, but I found that when you want to use an external mic with the LG V10, you have to be careful about choosing the plugged mic. It often defaults back to the internal mics, and I need to adjust the levels to get it to sound right. In the LG G4, I can just plug and go. I've got a link to the external mic I recommend right down below. A few other features I appreciate about this phone: the fingerprint reader, that's lacking on the LG G4. It's so nice to unlock the phone. And while it isn't quite as consistent or speedy as the one on the Nexus 6P or the iPhone 6s, it is good enough. The LG G4 also supports fast charging, but never tells me that it's actually fast charging, whereas the LG V10 nicely displays that info on the lock screen. Overall, the design and feel of this phone in hand is great with these stainless steel rails. It feels solid. The textured back is supposed to be rubberized and grippy. I don't find it very rubberized or grippy. That isn't bad. I just expected it to be a little bit more sticky when the word grippy is thrown around. The last thing I think you should consider is size. This phone is big and tall, and if you don't need manual video control or two front-facing cameras, you can save a little bit of money and pocket space by grabbing the still excellent LG G4. If you found this review helpful, take a moment to hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. I have lots more mobile photography reviews, tips, and tricks coming. Thanks for watching.